The colony ship New Dawn moved through deep space like a sleeping giant. Inside its metal walls, 3,000 humans floated in sleep chambers, dreaming of their new home. Captain stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the main window. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but he did not care. In 2 more days, they would reach the frontier world they called Haven. "Captain, we have a problem," said from the engineering station. She was young but smart, the best engineer had ever worked with. Her fingers moved fast across the control panel. Turned to her, "What kind of problem?" "3 ships just appeared on our sensors. Big ones. They came out of nowhere like they were waiting for us." Felt his stomach tighten. The frontier was supposed to be safe. That was what the report said. "Can you identify them?" Shook her head. Her face looked pale in the blue light of the screens. "The computer does not recognize their design. They are not human ships." Before could respond, the communication system made a loud sound. A voice filled the bridge. It was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. The words came through a translation program, but the meaning was clear. "Human vessel, this is Commander of the Empire. You have entered our hunting grounds. Your ship and all aboard now belong to us. Submit, or we will take you by force. You have one of your Earth hours to decide." The communication ended. Silence filled the bridge. Looked at his small crew. There were only 5 people awake on the entire ship. 5 people to defend 3,000 sleeping colonists. Doctor spoke first. She was the chief medical officer, a woman who had seen too much pain in her life to be easily scared. "Captain, what are the—" "I do not know," said honestly, "but hunting grounds means they see us as prey." Pilot stood up from his station. He was older than the others, with gray in his hair and scars on his hands from 20 years of flying. "We cannot fight 3 warships. Our ship has no weapons." "We do not need to fight," said. Everyone looked at her. "We need to survive until help comes. The Iron Phoenix is only 3 days away. They check on colony ships. When we do not report in, they will come." Nodded slowly. 3 days, we need to last 3 days. He pressed the emergency button on his chair. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. "Wake up Sergeant and his security team. Lock down all the important systems. Prepare the medical bay. We might need it. Send a distress signal on all channels." The hour passed too quickly. Tried to call the back to negotiate to buy more time, but Commander did not answer. When the time was up, the 3 ships moved closer. Watched them on the screen. They looked like giant hunters, all sharp edges and dark metal. "They are docking with our ship," said. 6 points, I cannot stop them." Sergeant arrived on the bridge. He was a solid man with calm eyes. Behind him were 4 security officers, all carrying weapons. It was not much, but it was all they had. "Captain, where do you need us?" "Everywhere," said. "But most important, protect the bay. If they wake the colonists without the right procedure, people will die." Nodded and left with his team. Heard the first sound of the entering the ship. It was a terrible sound, like metal being torn apart. Through the internal cameras, he saw them for the first time. They were huge. Each stood over 2 meters tall, with scales like armor and teeth like knives. They moved on 2 legs but used their clawed hands to pull themselves through the corridors. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dark. They looked like the old Earth legends of dragons, but worse. These things were real. "They are heading to engineering," said. Her voice shook a little. "There are 15 of them in that group." "Made a decision. Can you seal off that section?" "Yes, but they will cut through the doors." "Do it anyway. Buy us time to think." Worked fast. The heavy doors closed throughout the engineering section. On the cameras, saw the stop. They seemed confused. One of them spoke into a device. Then they began cutting through the door with tools that glowed white-hot. "That will take them maybe 10 minutes, said. 10 minutes. Needed to use them well. He looked at the ship's layout on the screen. The New Dawn was not built for war, but it was built for survival. It had backup systems, emergency tunnels, airlocks, and thousands of small spaces where people could hide. "We know this ship," said slowly. "They do not, that is our advantage." "Understood first. We make them hunt us through the ship, we use the space against them." "Exactly," said. "How well do you know the maintenance tunnels?" The old pilot smiled for the first time. "I know every tunnel on this ship. I helped build some of them." "Good, take the non-essential crew and start moving through the tunnels. Stay ahead of the, make noise, make them follow, then disappear. Confuse them." "You want us to be the prey that runs," said. "No," said. "I want you to be the prey that makes the predator chase shadows." They broke through the first door. They moved into engineering, their clawed feet loud on the metal floor. But when they arrived, they found nothing. The humans had already moved through the maintenance tunnels to another section. They roared in anger. Through the cameras, watched them search. They were fast and strong, but they did not know the ship. They checked every room, every corner, growing more frustrated. Finally, they moved deeper into the engineering decks. That was when Sergeant's team struck. The security team had set a trap. When they entered a narrow corridor, opened the airlock at the end. 3 were pulled toward the opening. 2 caught themselves, but 1 was sucked into space. The airlock closed again. They had lost one of their hunters. Commander's voice came over the communication system again. This time he sounded angry. "You dare fight back, you are prey, prey does not fight." Answered him. "We are humans, we are not prey, and we will not submit." "Then you will die," said. "I am sending more hunters, your ship will be ours." The communication ended, looked at with wide eyes. "Captain, we just made them very angry." Smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Good. Angry predators make mistakes. We just need to survive long enough to see them make those mistakes." Through the cameras, saw another hunting party enter the ship. This time there were 20 of them. They moved more carefully now, more cautiously. They had learned that humans could bite back. The hunt had begun, but they were starting to realize something that would change their empire forever. They were not hunting prey. They were fighting something that refused to be prey. They were fighting humans. Led 6 civilians through the dark maintenance tunnels. They crawled on their hands and knees, moving as quietly as possible. Behind them they could hear the searching, their claws scraping on metal. One of the civilians, a young man named Minu who was supposed to be a farmer on the New World, whispered too. "How much longer can we keep running?" "As long as we need to," whispered back. "Be quiet now, they are close." They reached a junction in the tunnels, made the group wait while he listened. He could hear them in the corridor below. There were 4 of them, talking in their rough language. The translation device in his ear gave him the words. "The small ones hide like insects," one said. "This is not a proper hunt." "Commander says we must find them all," another replied. "The Empire does not leave prey alive." Smiled to himself. He took a metal tool from his belt and dropped it down a side tunnel. It made a loud clang when it hit the floor. They immediately ran toward the sound. When they were gone, led his group in the opposite direction. In the medical bay, Doctor was working on a problem. She had captured a weapon during one of the fights. It was a scanning device that they used to hunt. She took it apart carefully, studying how it worked. What she found made her excited. "Come look at this," said through the communication system. Arrived 5 minutes later, moving carefully through the ship. She looked at the device. "What is it?" "It is their hunter's tool," explained. "It sees heat. That is how they track us. They see our body heat." "That is a problem," said. "We are warmer than the ship. We must glow like lights to them." "Yes, but that also means we can trick them," pointed to the device's readings. "Look at this. The device cannot tell the difference between different heat sources. It just shows hot and cold." Understood immediately. Her engineer's mind was already solving the problem. "We can make fake heat sources, make them chase things that are not us." "Exactly," said. "And we can make cold zones where we hide. If we lower the temperature in a section and wear thermal suits, we will disappear. They took their idea to Captain. He listened carefully, then nodded. How fast can you make this work? Give me 2 hours, said. I can rig the environmental systems to create hot and cold zones, and we have thermal suits in the emergency supplies. Do it, said. We need every advantage we can get. While worked on the environmental systems, Sargent was training the civilians to fight. He gathered them in the cargo bay, 30 people who had been woken from sleep. They were scared but determined. Among them was Minu, who had spent the last 6 hours running through tunnels. Listen to me, said. We are not soldiers. We are colonists, farmers, engineers, teachers. But they do not care what we are. They only care that we are prey. How do we fight them? A woman asked. They are so much bigger and stronger. We do not fight them face to face, said. We use the ship. We use tools. We use our brains. He picked up a welding torch from a nearby table. This is not a weapon, but it can hurt them. This hydraulic cutter can cut through their armor. These industrial cables can trip them. Minu stepped forward. Show us what to do. Spend an hour teaching them how to set traps, how to use the ship's systems against how to hit and run, how to survive. They were not good fighters, but they were fast learners. Humans always were. They had taken control of 3 decks of the ship. Commander stood in the main corridor watching his hunters work. He was starting to feel something he had never felt before, something like doubt. 50 had entered this ship. 5 were now dead. 2 were badly injured, and they still had not captured the humans. Commander, one of his warriors said, we found another group, 6 of the prey in the water processing section. Capture them, ordered. I want to question them. The warriors moved quickly. They surrounded the water processing section, blocking all exits. Then they entered. The heat sensors showed 6 human-sized heat sources inside. The warriors approached carefully, weapons ready. But when they grabbed the heat sources, they found only machines. Hot machines that had rigged to give off heat like human bodies. It was a trap. Minu and his group were hiding in the cold maintenance tunnels above, wearing thermal suits. When they gathered around the fake heat sources, Minu's group opened the water pipes. Thousands of liters of freezing water poured down on them. The cold water did not hurt them, but it blinded their heat sensors completely. Everything became the same cold temperature. While they tried to clear their sensors, steam struck from the shadows. They used cable guns to tangle the legs. They used cutting torches to damage armor. Then they disappeared back into the cold zones before they could fight back. 2 more were injured. The rest were confused and angry. They called for Commander. The commander arrived and saw his warriors standing in ankle-deep water, their sensors useless, looking for enemies they could not see. For the first time in his life, felt the beginning of fear. These prey were thinking. They were planning. They were fighting back in ways they had never seen. On the bridge, Captain received good news, had managed to get a message through to the Iron Phoenix. The military ship was coming, but it would take 72 hours to arrive. 3 days. They had to survive 3 more days. Captain, they are pulling back to the docking points, reported. I think they are getting reinforcements. Nodded. Then we use this time. How many people can we wake up safely? Maybe 20 more, said. But we need to be careful. The process is delicate. Wake up the ones with the most useful skills. Engineers, technicians, anyone who can help us defend the ship. As worked to wake more people, looked at the cameras showing the controlled sections. The aliens were stronger, faster, and better armed, but they were also predictable. They thought like hunters. They expected prey to run and hide. Humans were different. Humans could be prey or predator depending on what the situation needed. Humans could adapt, and right now, humans were learning how to hurt them. Minu found on the bridge. The young farmer's hands were shaking, but his eyes were determined. Captain, I have an idea. The cargo bay has industrial equipment, Heavy lifters, construction robots. We could use them as weapons. Looked at the young man with new respect. Show me what you have in mind. 3 hours later, they tried to push into the cargo bay. They expected to find scared humans hiding among the cargo containers. Instead, they found heavy construction equipment being operated like war machines. A cargo lifter, designed to move tons of material, picked up a warrior and threw him into a wall. A welding robot by Minu fired its torch at armor, burning through the scales. The humans were learning to fight, and they were learning something that would terrify their entire empire. They were learning that some prey refuses to die. Some prey fights back, and humans were the most dangerous prey the galaxy had ever seen. Commander watched from his ship as more of his warriors fell. His claws dug into the metal of his command chair. The other commanders in his fleet were asking him questions. Why was this taking so long? Why were they losing warriors to mere prey? Had no good answers. He only knew one thing. He had to win this fight. If he failed, if he let prey defeat his shame would follow him forever. He called for all his warriors to prepare. He would take the human ship himself, leading from the front. The hunt was intensifying, but neither side knew that this battle would change the galaxy forever. Commander stood on the bridge of the Iron Phoenix, reading the distress signal for the third time. She was a tall woman with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Next to her, platoon leader studied the tactical display. 3 warships, said. They have been attacking the New Dawn for 48 hours. The colony ship is still transmitting, which means they are still fighting. How is that possible? Asked Lieutenant from the tactical station. She was young and brilliant, the best strategic mind had ever commanded. A colony ship has no weapons. How do civilians survive against them for 2 days? Smiled grimly. Because they are humans, we do not give up easily. She turned to the navigator. Maximum speed. I want to reach them in 24 hours, not 72. That will damage the engines, the navigator warned. Then we will fix the engines later, said. Those colonists are buying time with their lives. We will not waste it. The Iron Phoenix accelerated, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. In the troop bay, briefed his Marines. There were 60 of them, trained for exactly this kind of mission. Among them was Specialist, a man who could fight in zero gravity better than anyone else in the fleet. Listen up, said. The New Dawn has 3,000 colonists. Most are in sleep, but some are awake and fighting. Our job is to reach them and drive thee off that ship. This will not be easy. They are experienced warriors, but they have never fought human Marines before. What about the civilians? Someone asked. Will they be in our way? No, said. They have been fighting for 2 days. They have proven they can handle themselves. We work with them, not around them. Clear. The Marines nodded. They began checking their weapons and equipment, prepared his zero-gravity assault gear. He looked forward to showing that space was a human domain. On the New Dawn, Captain was running out of options. They had sent more warriors, over 100 now. They controlled half the ship. The bay was still safe, protected by traps and the desperate courage of Sergeant's defenders. But supplies were running low. People were exhausted. They could not keep fighting forever. Captain, we have a problem, said. Her voice was tired. She had not slept in 2 days. They are cutting through the main power conduits. If they succeed, we lose life support in the civilian sections. Can you stop them? Not without going there directly, and that section is full of. Made a decision. Then we go there, gather everyone who can fight, we take that section back. It was a desperate plan. 50 humans, most of them not soldiers, attacking a position held by 20 warriors. But it was their only choice. Led them himself, carrying a welding torch like a sword. Beside him, Minu held a cutting tool. Behind them, Doctor carried medical supplies, ready to treat wounded. They moved through the cold zones, invisible to heat sensors. Sergeant had taught them well. They reached the power section and found the working on the conduits, unaware of the danger, gave the signal. The humans attacked all at once. They came from above, below, and all sides. They used every trick they had learned. Cable guns tangled legs, welding torches burned eyes, industrial lifters pinned against walls. It was chaos, brutal and desperate. Found himself face to face with a warrior. The alien was twice his size, covered in scales like armor. Its claws could tear him apart, but did not run. He activated his welding torch and aimed for the eyes. The alien roared and stepped back, giving time to retreat behind a cargo container. The fight lasted 10 minutes, 10 minutes of violence and fear. When it ended, the humans had won. 3 were dead. The rest had retreated, but the victory came at a cost. 5 humans were injured, 2 seriously. Doctor worked quickly to save them. "We held them," Minyu said, breathing hard. "We actually held them." "For now," said, "but they will come back with more warriors. We need help soon." Commander received the report of the defeat in silence. His warriors had retreated from prey. It was unthinkable. He stood and addressed his fleet commanders through the communication system. "I am leading the next attack myself," he announced. "Bring 50 warriors. We take the bay. If we cannot have them alive, we will have them dead. But this ends today." On his command chair felt something he had never felt before, something cold and uncomfortable. It took him a moment to recognize it. Uncertainty. These humans had killed 15 of his warriors. They had injured 20 more. They had held off his forces for 2 days with nothing but tools and courage. What if they had been wrong? What if some prey could not be hunted? He shook his head, dismissing the thought. They were the apex predators of the galaxy. They had conquered 47 systems. They would conquer this ship too. But deep inside was starting to doubt. The Iron Phoenix arrived at the edge of the system. Commander surveyed the scene through the main viewer. 3 warships surrounded the new dawn-like predators around wounded prey. The colony ship's hull was damaged, atmosphere leaking from several sections, but its lights were still on. It was still fighting. "Tactical analysis," ordered. Lieutenant worked quickly. "The ships are older models designed for ambush and boarding actions. They are strong in close combat but weak at range. If we stay at distance and use our missiles, we can hurt them badly." "But the new dawn is in the middle," said. "We might hit them." "Then we do not stay at range," said. He had joined them on the bridge. "We go in close. My Marines board the colony ship and help the civilians. You keep the fleet busy." Looked at the young platoon leader. "That is very dangerous." "So is being a human," said with a slight smile. "It is what we do." Made her decision. All hands battle stations. Tactical, prepare missile strikes on the command ships. Marines to the boarding pods. We are going to show these predators what happens when they hunt humans. The Iron Phoenix accelerated toward the fleet. The commanders saw it coming and turned to face it. They expected an easy victory. 1 human ship against 3 warships. It should be simple. They were wrong. Lieutenant had studied tactics for years. She knew their patterns, their preferences, their weaknesses. She did not fight the way they expected. When the ships moved to surround the Iron Phoenix, fired missiles not at the ships but at the space around them. The missiles detonated, filling space with metal fragments and electromagnetic interference. The sensors went blind. Their communications were jammed. They could not coordinate, and in that moment of confusion, the Iron Phoenix struck. Missiles hit 2 ships, damaging their engines. The 3rd ship tried to ram the Iron Phoenix but predicted the move. The human ship rolled aside, and the ship missed by meters. While kept the fleet busy, and his Marines launched from the Iron Phoenix in boarding pods. 60 pods shot across space like bullets, heading for the new dawn. Piloted his pod with expert precision, dodging fire. The pods attached to the new dawn's hull. Marines cut through and entered the ship. They found themselves in the middle of a war zone, warriors fighting human colonists. Smoke and sparks filled the corridors. Bodies lay on the floor, both human and immediately established contact with Captain. "This is Marine Platoon Leader. We are here to help. Where do you need us?" His voice came back, tired but strong. "They are pushing toward the bay. If they take it, 3,000 people die. We need you there now." "Understood. Marines on me." Led his team through the ship at a run. They reached the bay just as Commander and 50 warriors began their assault. The Marines opened fire, their weapons cutting down warriors. The aliens turned, surprised by the sudden attack. For the first time, faced trained human soldiers. It was a different kind of fight. The Marines moved as a unit, covering each other, using tactics perfected over centuries of human warfare. They fought bravely but individually, each warrior trying to prove his strength. Discipline beat courage, teamwork beat strength. In 5 minutes, half the warriors were down. Commander saw his warriors falling and understood. The galaxy had changed. The prey had become hunters. The bay filled with the sound of weapons fire and roaring, moved through the chaos like he was born for it. His Marines fought with precision, every shot counted, every movement calculated. But they were not giving up. Commander stood at the back, directing his warriors, refusing to retreat. Captain and the colonists joined the fight from the other side. The exhausted civilians fought alongside fresh Marines. Minyu found himself next to a Marine named, who moved through zero-gravity sections like he was dancing. The specialist showed Minyu how to use zero-G to their advantage, attacking from angles they could not defend. "Stay close to me," said, pushing off a wall and firing at a warrior. "In zero-G, humans are faster than them. They are built for planets, not space." Minyu followed, learning quickly. Together they disabled a warrior who was trying to reach the chambers. The alien floated away, unable to stop his momentum. Doctor worked in a corner that the Marines had secured, treating wounded from both groups. A Marine with burns on his arm sat next to a colonist with a broken leg, treated them both with equal care. "You are all humans," she said. "You are all my patients." Sergeant found and quickly briefed him on the ship's layout and the traps they had set. The Marine leader listened and nodded with respect. "You and your people have done well. Most soldiers could not have lasted 2 days." "We did not have a choice," said simply. "When you protect family, you find strength you did not know you had." "Then let us protect them together," said. They coordinated their forces, Marines and colonists working as one unit. The tired civilians showed the trained soldiers where the traps were, where the like to gather, what tactics had worked before. The Marines brought weapons and training and fresh energy. Commander saw what was happening and knew he was losing. The fresh human warriors were too skilled, and the colonists who should have been exhausted were fighting with new determination. He called for a retreat to his ship, but Lieutenant and Commander had other plans. On the Iron Phoenix studied the fleet movements. "Commander, they are trying to retreat. Their warriors are pulling back to their ships." "Can we stop them?" asked. "Better than that," said with a smile. "I can trap them. If we hit their docking clamps now, their ships cannot undock. Their warriors will be stuck on the New Dawn." "Do it," ordered. The Iron Phoenix fired precisely targeted missiles. They struck the docking clamps connecting the warships to the New Dawn. Metal twisted and broke. The ships tried to pull away, but they were locked in place by damaged equipment. On the New Dawn, the warriors heard the news from their ships. They were trapped. Some panicked. Others became more dangerous, fighting with the desperation of cornered animals. But humans knew about desperation. The colonists had been desperate for 2 days. Made a quick decision. "We push them back to their ships and then capture those ships. If we control their fleet, they have to surrender." Looked at the Marine leader. "That is a bold plan." "Bold is all we have left," said. "Are your people ready for one more fight?" Looked at his colonists. They were tired, wounded, and scared. But they were also angry. Angry at being hunted. Angry at being treated like prey. He saw determination in their eyes. "We are ready," said. The combined force of Marines and colonists pushed forward. They drove the back through the corridors of the new dawn. The aliens fought hard, but they were demoralized and confused. Their heat sensors were useless in the cold zones. Their strength was countered by human tactics. Their individual courage was defeated by human teamwork. Minyu led a group of colonists through maintenance tunnels, appearing behind positions, and his Marines attacked from the front. Caught between two forces, they had no choice but to retreat. Commander fell back to his flagship, the largest of the three warships. 30 of his warriors followed him. They sealed the airlock behind them, hopping for safety. But his Marines were right behind them. "Seal cutting charges ready," one Marine reported. "Wait," said, arriving with a group of colonists. "Let me try something first." He activated the communication system and spoke directly to, "Commander, you have lost. Your ships are trapped. Your warriors are beaten. You can surrender now with honor, or we will take your ship by force. Choose." There was a long silence. Then's voice came through, rough with emotion. "The do not surrender to prey." "We are not prey," said quietly. "We never were. That was your mistake. You saw what you wanted to see, not what we really are." Another silence, then said something that shocked everyone. "What are you really?" Thought about the question. "We are survivors, we are protectors. We are people who will fight for our families with whatever we have. Tools, weapons, our bare hands. It does not matter. We do not stop." "Then what do you want from us?" asked. "Your surrender," said. "Your promise to leave human space and never return. And your word that you will tell your empire what happened here. Tell them that humans are not prey." Looked at with surprise. The Marine had expected they would storm the ship and capture by force. But's way was better. If surrendered willingly, the message would be stronger. Inside his ship, Commander looked at his remaining warriors. They were the best of the experienced hunters who had never lost before, but they had lost now. To civilians and farmers and doctors, to prey that refused to be prey. "Open the airlock," ordered. His warriors stared at him in shock. "Commander, we cannot." "Open it," roared. "I have led you to defeat. The shame is mine, but the lesson is for all. These humans have taught us that strength alone is not enough. They have adaptability. They have cooperation. They have something we do not have." "What is that?" one warrior asked. "The refusal to give up," said quietly. The airlock opened, and his Marines entered carefully, weapons ready. They found the warriors standing in formation, their weapons on the floor. At the front, Commander stood tall, his head high despite his defeat. "I surrender my ship and my warriors," said formally. "I accept defeat." Nodded and signaled his Marines to secure the. Then Captain entered. He walked up to and looked at the alien commander. Despite being much smaller, showed no fear. "You fought well," said. "But you fought for the wrong reason. You fought to hunt. We fought to protect. That made all the difference." Bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect in culture. "I understand now. Humans are not prey. They are apex predators who pretend to be prey until the moment they strike. Your species is dangerous." "Only when we need to be," said. "We would rather be farmers and teachers and doctors. But when we must fight, we fight with everything we have." News of the surrender spread quickly. The other two warships gave up without a fight when they learned their commander had been captured. Commander brought the Iron Phoenix alongside the New Dawn and sent teams to help repair the damage. In the bay, Doctor checked on the sleeping colonists. All 3,000 were safe. Not one chamber had been damaged. She felt tears on her face and did not wipe them away. They had done it. They had protected their people. Minyu found in the cargo bay. The Marine was checking his equipment, preparing to return to the Iron Phoenix. "Thank you," Minyu said. "You saved us." Shook his head. "No, you saved yourselves. We just helped finish the job. You fought for 2 days with nothing but tools and courage. That is more impressive than anything we Marines did." Will you tell people about this? Minyu asked. About what happened here? Everyone will know, said. The galaxy will know that humans cannot be hunted. You made sure of that. On the bridge, sat in his captain's chair, exhausted but relieved, stood next to him. What will happen to them? Asked. Commander is taking them to a neutral station, said. They will be released with their ships, but the story of what happened here will go with them. They will not attack humans again. How can you be sure? Smiled. Because we did not just beat them. We broke their understanding of how the galaxy works. They thought they were the apex predators. Now they know different. That knowledge will spread through their empire faster than any warning. Nodded slowly. We just wanted to reach our colony world in peace. I know, said, but sometimes peace has to be fought for. You and your people proved you are willing to do that. The galaxy will remember. As the Iron Phoenix prepared to escort the new dawn to haven, the colonists gathered to remember the 5 people they had lost in the fighting. Doctor spoke at the memorial. They died protecting others. That is the highest honor any human can achieve. We will tell their story on the new world. We will make sure their sacrifice means something. The colonists agreed, and in that moment the tired farmers and teachers and engineers understood something about themselves. They were still colonists, but they were also warriors when they needed to be. They were humans, and humans do not give up. The Galactic Council Chamber was the largest meeting place in known space. Representatives from 300 species gathered in the massive room, each species in their own environmental section. The chamber could hold meetings in vacuum, water, methane atmosphere, or any environment needed. Today, all sections were filled. Everyone had come to hear about the humans. Ambassador stood in the human section, waiting for her turn to speak. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She had been a diplomat for 30 years, but this was her most important speech. Next to her floated a holographic display showing the damaged New Dawn. The council speaker, a being made of crystal who communicated through light pulses, addressed the chamber. Ambassador of Earth, you have requested this emergency session. The council recognizes you. Please state your case. Bowed slightly and began. Thank you, council speaker. I come before you today to report an attack on a human colony ship by the Empire. The ship New Dawn was carrying 3,000 civilians to a frontier world when it was attacked without warning or provocation. Murmurs filled the chamber. They were known throughout the galaxy. Many species paid tribute to avoid being hunted. Some had lost entire colonies to raids. No one had ever successfully fought back. A representative from the section, a warrior named, stood up. The humans entered our territory. It was our right to claim them. That space is neutral, said calmly, recognized by this council as open to all species. The New Dawn violated no laws, but that is not why I requested this session. She activated the holographic display. Images appeared showing the 3-day battle, warriors entering the ship, human colonists fighting back with tools and improvised weapons, the arrival of the Iron Phoenix, the surrender of Commander. The council chamber fell silent. Every representative watched the images with growing amazement. Prey did not fight back against the. Prey certainly did not win. They attacked us expecting an easy hunt, continued. They did not expect resistance. They did not expect humans to fight for 3 days with nothing but courage and determination. They did not expect to lose. Lies shouted, "The do not lose to Prey." Then explain this, said. She showed footage of Commander surrendering to Captain, the Commander bowing his head in respect. The entire scene was recorded clearly. Sat down, unable to speak. Around the chamber, other representatives whispered to each other. The implications were enormous. If humans could defeat everything changed. The council speaker pulsed with light. This is remarkable. Ambassador, your species has been part of the galactic community for only 50 Earth years. You have always presented yourselves as peaceful explorers. Now we learn you are also warriors." "We are both," said. "We prefer peace. We would rather study the stars than fight for them. But when threatened, when our families are in danger, we will fight with everything we have. We cannot help it. It is part of what makes us human." A representative from the species, small beings who had been prey to many predator species, spoke up. "Ambassador, how did your colonists survive? They had no weapons, no training. They are experienced hunters." Smiled. "They had something better than weapons. They had the human refusal to give up. They had creativity. They had the ability to adapt. And they had each other. Humans are pack animals, representative. We protect our pack." She showed more footage. Minu and the colonists turning tools into weapons, creating thermal traps, sergeant teaching civilians to fight, doctor treating wounded while under fire. The images told a story of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. "These were farmers, teachers, engineers, doctors," said. "Not one of them was a soldier before this battle, but they became warriors because they had to. That is what humans do. We adapt. We overcome. We survive." The council speaker pulsed thoughtfully. "You present this as evidence of self-defense, but some council members may see it as evidence that humans are dangerous." "We are dangerous," agreed, surprising many representatives. "Any species that can survive is dangerous. Any species that refuses to give up is a threat to those who rely on force alone. But we are only dangerous to those who threaten us. We seek no empire. We claim no hunting grounds. We simply want to exist in peace, but we will not be prey." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The learned this lesson. Now we share it with the council. Any species that attacks humans, that treats us as prey, will learn the same lesson. We are not victims. We are survivors. And survival is something humans are very, very good at." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species were frightened. Others were impressed. The prey species looked at humans with new hope. If humans could stand against them, maybe others could too. Spoke again, his voice quieter now. "What do humans want from the council?" "Three things," said. "First, formal recognition that human space is protected by galactic law. Any attack on human ships or colonies will be treated as an act of war. Second, the return of Commander and his warriors to the Empire unharmed. We do not seek revenge. We seek understanding. Third, we request that the Council establish protocols for peaceful contact between species. This conflict happened because they assumed we were prey. We want to prevent such assumptions in the future." The Council speaker pulsed. "These requests are reasonable. The Council will vote on them. But Ambassador, I must ask, if another species attacks humans again, what will you do?" His expression became very serious. "We will defend ourselves. We will protect our people. We will do whatever is necessary to survive. That is not a threat, Council Speaker. It is a promise, and humans always keep our promises." The vote was called. By an overwhelming majority, the Council granted all three requests. Human space was now protected by galactic law. Any species that attacked humans would face consequences from the entire galactic community. After the session, representatives from several prey species approached privately. A delegate spoke for the group. "Ambassador, would humans teach us? Would you show us how to defend ourselves?" Smiled gently. "We will do better than that. We will stand with you. If predator species threaten you, call for Earth. We will come, because that is what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." Far across the galaxy, the new dawn finally reached the planet Haven. Captain stood on the bridge, watching the green and blue world grow larger on the screen. Behind him, worked on repairing the last of the damaged systems. Prepared the landing sequence. "It is beautiful," said quietly. "It is home," replied. "Our new home, a home we fought for." The colonists woke from sleep, all 3,000 of them. They were told about the battle, about the 5 who had died protecting them, about the victory over Some cried, some cheered, all of them felt proud. Minu stood with a group of other colonists, looking at the planet through a viewport. "We came out here to be farmers," he said, "to grow food and build homes, but we became warriors first." "We became both," a woman named replied. "That is what makes us human. We can be whatever we need to be." The new dawn landed on Haven. The colonists stepped out onto their new world. The air was fresh, the sun was warm, and the ground was fertile. It was everything they had hoped for, but they would never forget the journey. Doctor stood at the memorial they built for the 5 who died. Their names were carved in stone, along with the words, "They fought so others could live. They were human, and that was enough." Sergeant trained the colony's security force. They would be ready if danger came again. But he also taught them that strength comes from working together, from protecting each other, from refusing to give up. On Earth, Commander filed her report. She described the courage of the colonists, the skill of the Marines, the complete defeat of the... Her report ended with a simple statement. "The galaxy has learned that humans cannot be hunted. This knowledge will protect us better than any weapon." In the Empire, Commander spoke before the Council of Hunters. He described the battle in detail, hiding nothing. He told them about human adaptability, about their refusal to quit, about their ability to turn anything into a weapon. "I recommend," concluded, "that humans be classified as apex predators, not as prey. They are dangerous not because of strength or weapons, but because they will never stop fighting for their pack. They are persistent hunters who can outlast and outthink any opponent. To hunt them is to invite defeat." The Council of Hunters debated for days. Finally, they agreed. Humans were added to the list of species to avoid. It was the first time they had ever retreated from an entire species. Accepted his demotion with dignity. He had lost, but he had learned. And sometimes the most important victories come from the lessons of defeat. Back on Haven, the colonists built their first town. They named it New Hope. The buildings were simple but strong. The farms began producing food. Children played in the streets. Life continued. But above the town hall they hung a banner. It showed the new dawn battered but unbroken, with words underneath. "They called us prey. They learned we are human." Stood in his new home, looking at pictures from the battle. He saw faces of people who had been farmers and teachers but became warriors when needed. He saw the exhaustion and fear, but also the determination and courage. A young girl, the daughter of colonists, approached him. "Captain, my teacher said you saved us, that you fought monsters." Knelt down to her level. "We all saved each other, and they were not monsters. They were just beings who made a mistake. They thought we were weak. They thought we would give up." "But we did not," the girl said. "No," agreed. "We did not, because that is not what humans do. We survive, we adapt, we protect each other. Remember that, and you will never be prey to anyone." The girl nodded seriously and ran off to play. Watched her go, thinking about the future. This generation would grow up knowing that humans had faced apex predators and won. They would be stronger for it. Across the galaxy, the story spread. The dreaded hunters had been defeated by human colonists, by farmers and doctors and engineers. The story grew with each telling, becoming legend. Predator species heard it and became cautious. Prey species heard it and found hope. And humanity, still young among the stars, took its place as a power to be respected. Not because they sought empire, not because they wanted to conquer, but because they had proven one simple truth: humans do not give up, ever. And in a galaxy full of predators, that made humans the most dangerous species of all.